All right. Are we still recording?
Good.
Yes. All right. Well, welcome to the Side Action, episode 76, season 3, episode 6. This is Jim Weglars, aka Wegs. You can follow me at Wegspool on Twitter and Instagram.
And this is Steve Roberts, aka Action. You can follow me on Twitter at 31S Roberts.
Follow the podcast at Side Action Pod on Twitter. So, Action, how was your weekend? How's your week been? What's the Rat Patrol update? I want everything. Give it to me.
We had a nice weekend, actually, rodent free in the backyard now. So I think we've
Nice.
successfully put that behind us. We were able to relax a little bit and enjoy the new home finally, stress
Excellent.
free.
Sure.
And had a great weekend in the books,
Good.
highly positive. So that was a nice outcome. Monday night certainly did not end well for us, but all of the games leading up to that went well. So that was a good thing. How about you?
I agree. I had a good week too going into that night. I did miss the money line. We'll talk about the Titans. That was, I was on Houston money line, and that one actually not the spread bet, but I was hitting money lines a little bit and getting some
Nice.
success. And of course, I was on the Cowboys like you Monday night, so that was just a loser. But no, overall it was good. I mean, had a fun weekend. Played football. We won again. It was a little bit exciting. The shocker update was we had the backup quarterback in. Everybody loves the backup. Tommy Doherty, he came out a little bit rusty. He did his best Mike Treleaven QB1 imitation by throwing 4 picks in the first half.
Oh,
And it was a little dicey there. Actually, between him, I think he had 3 and Ridgeway had 2. So Ridgeway, we got to, for everybody who knows, we play co-ed and you have to do certain plays to girls. And we usually don't get in a situation where it's third and girl or fourth and girl where you have to have a girl QB or something. In this case, Ridgeway, who has a great arm, as you know, she gunned it in one time that got picked. But early in the game, she threw it behind a little bit to Jimmy. He tipped it, pick 6. That was the opening drive.
mm,
So that was their only score of the game, thankfully. But we ended up settling down. I was like, look, we could beat these guys easily. Just run the ball. Who cares? And so the coach settled them down. We got it done. My other cousin played, Johnny. He's the one who tore my hamstring last year. He
okay.
came out. He's only 23. He made some spectacular catches. He was looking good out there. So the Doherty boys made a connection, and it was exciting. It's exciting.
Cool. So you made some halftime adjustments like Coach Harbaugh
Yeah,
employed the Ravens running offense.
exactly. Just run the ball. When in doubt, run the ball. And when in doubt, throw the ball short because this team was like 6 yards off the ball at all times.
Hmm.
Throw it short, run the ball. So you're getting 15 yards every time because they can't pull the flag right away. And we have one guy on the team, as we've mentioned before. His name's Remy. He's so fast. We threw the ball to him on like a 6 yard out route. He crossed the whole field, almost went the whole distance of the field. Jiving all over the thing, doing spin moves. The guy is incredible. He did get caught at the 1, but it was an incredible effort. And that's all you got to do. Throw it short, yards after catch, man.
Yeah. The
And
Cowboys tried that on Monday. It didn't work very well for them, though.
yeah, exactly. All right, well, let's give some updates. I didn't put this on the outline action, but we got message from what is it, DJ Ward Enterprises, www.proxy.com or whatever he is now.
Hmm.
Dave Ward sent us the mention of the article on the new Circa Sportsbook. It is open for media. I don't know when it actually opens, but it looks fantastic.
Yeah, next Tuesday night, I believe, is the grand opening
Okay.
tuxedo only event.
Oh,
I
you're
still
going?
haven't seen my invitation in the mail, but Mike Palm assures me that it's on its way. But I'm not going to be able to make it this year. So
Oh man, dang. But
yeah,
you guys are going to stay there at some point, right? Or you want to?
we actually have a trip planned for late November to do some rock climbing, and we're going to stay downtown or not downtown, but on the strip. And I
Hmm.
did make reservations for the new Circa Swim, which is
Oh,
outside, and it's a pool with a huge big screen TV, so they'll have sports on out there at the pool, and they're 103 degrees year round. So we're
ooh,
looking forward to that.
it's like a hot tub, slippery now.
Yeah,
We've already talked about our loyal listeners. We have this loyal following that listens to us every week. Thank you. That's where we're going to do it next year, right? We're going to try to hit that place for when we go out for the annual contest trip. We're going
Yep.
to stay there and obviously hit that pool, make some reservations. Maybe there's a cabana involved. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But pretty excited about that. And that place looks outstanding. You know, good. What is his name?
Derek
Dave,
Stevens.
Derek Stevens. Yes, Derek Stevens owns the D and the Golden Nugget. You know, so he's or Golden
Golden
Nugget,
Gate. Golden
Golden
Gate.
Gate. I'm sorry,
Yeah,
Golden Gate. So Mike Palm and the guys, you know, we're coming for you guys next year. So
that's
uh,
right.
just a little bit of an update. I don't know. I didn't have enough time to check Twitter again, but I saw that there was a test. Is it the Raiders or somebody had a test? And it looks like they're moving some games around. Looks like
Hmm.
the Tampa game with the Raiders is getting moved to 4 o'clock Eastern, and then they're moving the Seattle Arizona game to Sunday Night Football as a result. Was the Raiders who was tested?
Yeah, tackle Trent Brown got a positive test yesterday, and as a result, they sent the entire offensive line home yesterday from
Right.
the campus. And I don't believe any of the additional linemen have received tests yet, but they were also not at the building today, skipped practice. So I did read that the Raiders were just running a 7-on-7 drill for practice because they have no line.
Right,
So
right, 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 right.
um, it looks unlikely that this game will happen this weekend,
Yeah.
but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. So we'll keep note of that with our picks this week. But that kind of it is a pretty cool game, the Seattle game. Seattle, Arizona is a nice Sunday night
Hmm.
football game anyway. So
Definitely.
all right, let's do a recap of the week 6 in the NFL. Generally speaking, we have 7-7 split down the middle, home and road teams split this week, which is interesting. That's not typical. Favorites, you know, came in 6-8 with the dogs, so you get some underdogs hitting. But here's the correction action. We've been talking about it. Overs only 4, unders 10. So maybe it was probably more about the actual numbers that were out there versus the scoring, but across the board, there was a big correction in the market here.
Yeah, I don't think that the incidence of penalties has changed at all,
Right.
and certainly don't think there's any other factors to this other than the defense is just looking to catch up a little bit. I think, well, there has been some injuries,
True.
a few offensive stars that aren't playing, so that certainly has an effect on scoring, certainly for the Dallas Cowboys, for example.
I'm
But
looking at you, Andy Dalton.
I'm just kind of mad because I didn't get on the under train this week. I was hoping that I could catch that wave when it bounced back, but it didn't
Yeah.
happen for me.
Yeah, we talked about it. You're like, you're not ready to do that. And of course, this was the week to do it. So it'll probably
Yeah.
balance out this week. So that leaves us for the season. Favorites are 43, 47, and 1, which is, you know, not so great. Home favorites 27-35. That is crazy.
Yeah.
And then you've noted this favorites of 2.5 points or less are a crazy 3-14 on the season, where more 6 points or more, it's 21, 18, and 1. So those close games are kind of flipping over on us.
Yeah. Interesting to note there. Certainly a small sample size, only 17 games this season with a favorite of less than a field goal. But
True.
it has been a very underdog driven market this season. You see that the home teams as favorites are not faring well either in terms of against the spread outcomes. So I think maybe we should be shading towards the underdogs a little bit looking forward, unless you think, of course, it could bounce back.
Eventually it'll even out, but I think it's hard to determine when that is going to be. I mean, we can talk about some of these games in detail, but it was kind of one of these situations where, you know, look at, you know, friggin' Minnesota, you know, against home against Atlanta. You know, I kind of joked about Julio Jones not being a factor and what he goes off, you know,
Hmm.
so, and that was one of those, I guess it was a 4 point, they were 4 point favorites. So that's out of
Yeah.
that one. But a lot of those closer ones, you know, who knows? It's hard to value the market right now. I mean, we're in week 7, so some of the numbers should be correcting, but you wonder if with the first 3, 4 weeks, which is usually preseason, right, for these deals,
Yeah.
now all of a sudden you're actually in the regular season where it may take another 3 to 4 weeks to really get real numbers. I don't know. You know, we'll see when the statistics start bearing themselves out. Um, so anyway, I listed some positives. I'm sure you can contribute here. My guy, King Henry, Derrick Henry just dominated again. I put this guy as a complete mutant. I mean, he would be an X-Man. I don't know what he'd be, but he's the running man. I mean, this guy's incredible. He had that 94-yard scamper where he's running past cornerbacks and safeties. You know, he's had a 200-yard rushing game in 3 consecutive seasons. I mean, that's almost impossible. And so he obviously had the game-winning touchdown on the Wildcat, and he already has 588 yards, not years, 588 yards on the season in just 5 games action. That is
Wow.
impressive.
Yeah, very impressive, and certainly a Tennessee offense that is just flying. I think they're now 5-0 to the over as well this season.
Yep.
Tannehill and Henry are both playing really well and putting points on the board aplenty. Although I think that the Houston Texans defense probably had a small role to play in that.
Yeah, they're awful.
I read that J.J. Watt was not really had nice things to say about the 2-point conversion attempt by Romeo
Ugh.
Cornell, and the response from the media was, "Well, maybe you should have stopped the Titans once or twice this game, and it could have been a different outcome." And I concur.
Yeah, I concur. They showed the statistic that the probability of winning was equal if they kick it or they went for it. But obviously, going for it and winning, getting the points, then that they win the game right there. It's almost like you win the game now or you win the game later. I don't know. I would have gone conservative there. I would have told your cousin to go for one, so we get up by the 8 and make them get a 2-point conversion. But in the end, they could not stop that team. Henry was, I mean, he had that screen pass that he took for 40 yards right away. I mean, he's just a beast, and obviously his fitness is showing right now.
And I mean, we were on the Texans,
Yeah.
admittedly, plus 3.5. And I have to be honest, when they went for 2, I was glad that they chose that play call. I had a feeling that extra point was going to lead to overtime anyways, and
Yeah.
they went to overtime and they lost. So
I know that was a
tough one.
pressure. That we were on the right side there. It felt like it, but
Yep.
hey, what are you going to do? The next positive, the Steelers defense. We talked about it last week. They came and punched the poor Browns. This team cannot beat. The Cleveland Browns of the new era cannot beat the Steelers team. I think it's something like what is Big Ben against the Browns? I mean, he's only lost 3 times or something or ever.
Sounds right.
And so they just limited them to 75 yards rushing. They beat them obviously 38-7. So I don't know. They kind of exposed that team a little bit, and more importantly, I thought that the Steelers, even though the statistics didn't look good offensively, but they did a lot of good things in that game, and obviously a defensive score always helps out, but that defense is legit.
Yeah, they are. The offense really didn't do a whole lot. Big Ben was pedestrian, 160 yards passing and 1 touchdown. James Conner had a decent game, but I think this one was really about the defense, as you had written here.
Right. The next one I had to put up there is the Chiefs running game. We actually mentioned this. I was wondering if Andy Reid is listening to the podcast. Do you think he's a podcast listener?
Oh, yeah. And a YouTube watcher.
Exactly. YouTube. That's right. Our many viewers on YouTube, because all of a sudden Andy Reid comes out and just pummels the ball. I mean, 45 times rushing, the most time he's ever called, had rushing attempts in his career as the coach, 265 yards. Edwards-Helaire was amazing, and they won the game 26-17. But more importantly, it wasn't they owned the ball. They never gave Buffalo the chance to score in that game for the most part.
Yeah, Buffalo kind of back down to earth in this one, and I think that you can light your Josh Allen MVP ticket on fire because he's taken a step back the last couple of weeks. And really, the other story in this one that I wanted to mention is the Kansas City defense quietly playing really well right now, and the secondary especially is playing at a very high level, and that's a tough pass defense to go up against.
Yeah, no question. You actually added one on here. I'm going to let you do it because I did not put this on here, America. Trust me.
Yeah, the Chicago Bears defense playing back close to 2018 levels now. They held Teddy Bridgewater to a 27% success rate on passing plays on Sunday, 2 interceptions and 4 sacks. And they're now up to number 2 pass defense per DVOA. So ascending, and maybe they are a little bit more formidable than we had suggested in weeks past.
Well, their defense certainly is. The offense, I think, with Foles is more opportunistic. They actually made some plays. You're right. Besides the interceptions, it just looked like that they were under fire all the time. There was a lot of, they were kind of ball hawking. They were all over the place, and Bridgewater, who doesn't usually turn the ball over, had a rough day. But more importantly, I think that they played within themselves. The Bears have kind of switched their perspective. Maybe, hey, let's not do high flying. Let's play to this defense a little bit. in games against the Panthers, you can do that. You know that they're not going to run away from you scoring wise. So it worked out. They got the win. So good for the Bears, 5-1 now, which is still ludicrous to me. But I think their schedule is going to, figure it out. It's going to correct a little bit. They have a much tougher schedule in the next month.
Okay.
Some negatives, boy, Aaron Rodgers and the Pack. Now, we obviously were on this game, which hurts our picks in the contest. But more importantly, what happened in this game? They're up 10-0. They look great. Aaron Rodgers was doing some sort of Macarena in the end zone. Now, granted, on that play, I think he kind of got hurt because after that, he wasn't the same. That bad throw for the pick six, which never happens to him. And then he had another pick later. He just looked dazed and confused the rest of the game. They got housed. They got outscored 38-0 after that first quarter. And I don't even know what happened. He was just bad.
I mean, he was under pressure like every single drop back. I think that pressure just got to him. Tampa Bay ended up with 4 sacks on the game, and Aaron only had 160 passing yards, which landed him 27th ranked out of 29 quarterback qualifiers this week in terms of performance. But the Packers just gave up in the second half. That's the part that pissed me off the most, because this was an easy over bet, and I had money on the over. And because the Packers gave up, it ended up going under in the second half. Right. And I think the other flip side of this is that the Tampa Bay defense is a little bit better than we expected. Vita Vea got hurt, but they made a trade for another defensive tackle from the Giants, I believe, who stepped in, and clearly this Tampa Bay defense is going to be around for a while.
Well, I mean, and Dominican Sue's on this team, right? He played really well. Maybe he just played up with Rodgers or something. He was playing, like you said, a man amongst boys there. Hey, this just in action, so I can do this on live podcasting. Christina Ridgway has just texted me, and she asked, who should we pick tonight in the game?
Spread or game winner?
I think it's just straight up.
I have a hard time picking the Giants to win this game. I like them with the points, though.
I do too. But I'll put that. So Philly straight up, but Giants with the points. I don't think she has the points.
Look at that. Live Picks America.
Look at that. Live Picks America. Just text during the 5 o'clock, or 6 o'clock hour here. You get your question answered right away. Well, let's go to those Cowboys. How about it? This team is awful. 0-6 ATS now. They got crushed by the Cardinals 38-10. Another huge turnover game. Zeke, 2 fumbles in the first quarter again, which led directly to touchdowns. They are now minus 12 turnover margin on the season, which is it's 5 ahead of the next team. Dalton didn't play great, but he wasn't helped out by anybody. I mean, Gallup couldn't catch the ball. And I mean, what the hell's going on with this team?
I don't know. They're in a funk. I think that it has to go back to the coaching staff. And I don't know if you've heard, but there's been some media reports this week that several players anonymously have leaked quotes to the media that they don't trust the coaching staff and they don't think they're good at their jobs. So definitely some buzz coming out of there. That's not a good sign.
Yeah, they said they're not prepared. It's a joke. Now, granted, I don't think McCarthy's a very good coach. So this is a confirmation situation. But, man, I mean, could they – it's probably not likely because of the money they paid him. Would you think that they'd make a move? If Dak was healthy, maybe they'd make a move midseason because this team's still in first place in the division. So they're going to probably make the playoffs with this garbage. So
yeah, they might.
They have a lot of talent, especially on offense. And even, Van Der Esch came back, and he still wasn't, it wasn't really, what's his name? Drake had a good game, too. They just couldn't stop, Kyler Murray running around all the time.
Yeah.
So.
And really, the pass defense played okay. Kyler Murray didn't blow them away through the air. It was the legs and Kenyon Drake. The one long bomb to Christian Kirk was a backbreaker right at the end of the first half.
Yeah.
And on the flip side, I think the loss of Zach Martin, the offensive lineman for the Cowboys, was crucial because after that, they were getting tons of pressure on him.
I agree. I saw that too. They did that little graphic with the the construction signs over the guys and stuff, and it's like there's nobody. This great offensive line is gone. So now it's like it's inverted. They used to have this great offensive line and average receivers. Now they've got these great receivers and the line sucks. But unfortunately, the line's what matters in this case. So The last one is another defense. Boy, the Bills D, what happened to this defense? And, they were playing not great the first few weeks of the season. I mean, they were playing good in the games, but the defense, they've been getting shredded. And obviously, we talked about the Chiefs on the other side. 466 yards action?
Yeah. And 67% success rate for the Kansas City offense on third downs. So they were converting 2/3 of every third down. And the Buffalo defense is now 29th ranked out of 32, which is a far cry from their preseason expectations.
Yeah, it's one of those situations where sometimes when the team scores a lot of points, you get a little lazy, right? Because you don't have to play as hard a defense because you have you have a lead. Now it's kind of coming back to haunt them because they're playing a little bit better teams. It's kind of getting them punched in the mouth, and they got another tough game this week, right? I mean, it doesn't stop for this team. So we'll see what happens. Some key injuries. You already mentioned Zach Martin. He had a concussion. We'll see if he's playing or not this week. Devin Bush is out for the year with ACL tear for Pittsburgh. That will hurt their defense some, sadly. Raheem Mostert has a ankle sprain. It looks like he's not going to play this week. This guy can't stay healthy, by the way.
Yep.
Your guy Taylor Lewan for Tennessee, he's out for the season with ACL as well. It definitely will hurt their running attack, although it seems like they were doing okay after he got hurt. And then you've already mentioned Raiders. You've got the COVID list and the whole offensive line. It's just kind of an interesting one. But the last one you mentioned here, not an injury related, Fitzmagic, he's out. Tua's in.
Yeah. Fitzmagic, rough week for him. It sounds like he really took the move pretty hard. He was having a good time, and the Dolphins are 3-3, right in the playoff mix.
They are.
And kind of a surprising move. I think it shocked the entire NFL media landscape with the move this week.
I'm not sure what they're thinking. I mean, I think actually, they're ahead of the Patriots in the division, first of all. They're only a game back of the Bills. They've played pretty well. I thought they played really well in the first 6 games. They've kind of matched what I thought they would do. They would improve this season. They got an outside shot to make the playoffs. I don't think Tua gives them the best chance this year, but we'll see. Fitzmagic certainly is a team player. He's obviously getting on the media now, but I'm sure he would rise to the challenge if Tua got knocked out again. But he's had a pretty good year. He's always the swashbuckler with that mustache and beard.
I think he's top 10 in terms of QBR rating when you stack rank them. So definitely a good year. But in the bigger picture, if the Dolphins have any aspirations of winning Super Bowls, they need to get Tua under center. Fitzmagic is not going to be winning any Super Bowls anytime soon.
Agreed. You're looking at, Tua, you've obviously got, Justin Herbert. Obviously, he's already taken the reins over in Los Angeles. It's the right thing to do long term. It's just a little confusing because it wasn't an injury and they were winning. So,
yeah, no doubt.
Well, let's go over the week previews here. We already kind of touched on the Giants very briefly. It's going to be played tonight, so I don't need to talk about it. But go ahead, Ridgeway, get your pick in. So the first game we've got, Cleveland is going to be at Cincinnati this time. It looks like it opened at 4.5 for Cleveland on the road. 52 was the opener for the total, but now it's down to 3.5 and 50.5. So there's been some movement there. In the Circa, it's the 3.5, huh? Is that what we're looking at for the contest?
Yep. Correct. Updated.
Yeah, so interesting situation here. I'm not sure what you feel. In the first game, Cincinnati was a bigger dog, where they were like an 8-point dog or something, and they covered in the back door. This isn't a backdoor situation, but I don't know. Besides that one, back step against the Ravens, the Bengals have played decent, at least against the number. What do you think here?
I believe it was 6 the first time in
6? Cleveland.
Yeah, it was a Thursday night game, and Joe Burrow got the late touchdown to close it within 5 for the cover. I like the Browns in this game. I realize that the adjustment here for home field is probably not as much as you would expect. Just trying to do the math here quickly. So if you take 3 points away, they're 3.5 points better. So it looks like Cleveland's downgraded here a little bit.
Yeah, I think so. They're sitting where they're sitting in the index. They probably should be probably a 7-8 point favorite. I'm sorry, at home. So it'd be maybe like a 5 point favorite on the road. I think that people are looking at Baker. Baker had another crappy game against the Steelers. He's not going to have that. He had a great game against the Bengals first game, didn't he?
Yeah, he had a great night, and the running game again. I think that's where the disparity is going to be in this one, that Cleveland Browns running attack and facing off against the Bengals defense, which is porous, 23rd ranked against the run. So
what do you think about the over here? It's come down. Total's 50.5. Seems like it might be a good candidate for an over.
yeah, I mean, certainly think you could do no wrong by betting overs in Bengals games. You saw they jumped out 21-0 against the Colts this past weekend and allowed Phillip Rivers and company to come all the way back and win that one. So I think that's a fair play at 51, certainly a key number if you can get a little bit under that, some value. But any thoughts on the Brownies for our contest pick?
I like some others better. I don't know if I'm getting all on board with the Brownies, but
fair.
Yeah, we'll see. They've been a weird team. I mean, they're 4-2, I guess, but when they face good competition, they crumple up. So they're definitely going to be better against the Bengals, but against good competition, they get crushed. Okay, next game, Dallas, Washington. Oh boy. So two teams that we can't trust. Opened up 3.5-point favorites for Dallas on the road. The total 49. Now the total's down to 46. It's down to a pick. Probably right now where it was a pick. I mean, this team, how can you possibly trust the Cowboys, right? In this particular case. But man, and Washington did cover last week. Give them some credit. They covered at the Giants. But
yeah,
damn, both these teams are just difficult to trust. I mean, you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think the under has some value. You've already seen a move from 49 to 46. I think that you could look at this in the first half. 22, 23 would be a great number. But in terms of the side, I would only look in one direction, and that's with Washington.
Washington, right.
I'm not sure we want to put our contest picks on it. I think you and I talked offline that we'd like to swear off the NFC East.
Yes.
Right.
When they play each other, it's possible. But when they play anybody else, they suck. So, those stats yet.
With the Dallas offensive line and Andy Dalton's completely lacking pocket presence and inability to move anywhere, I think that the Washington defensive line is going to be set up to have quite a bit of pressure in this game.
No, I think he's going to get sacked multiple times. I think the under is a good call. I think that's going to be a rough one. But, will Dallas or Washington, I mean, what does Washington do to score? I mean, unless it's for turnovers, but that's kind of what plays into the hands of the Cowboys. They still turn the ball over. I mean, and you saw Pollard get some run because they had to bench Zeke. He kept fumbling the damn ball every 5 minutes.
I like Pollard. He's good back.
Yeah, he is. All right, let's move to the next one. We've got Detroit against Atlanta. Atlanta opened as a 1.5-point favorite. 56.5 was the total. It's down to 55 now. In Circa, it's a 2-point favorite for Atlanta, which is probably about the number it should be. I do have Atlanta as a better team in the index, barely. These teams are really close. And ultimately, like I said, they've hit the number probably right. I mean, 2.5 was where I saw it earlier. If it's 2 now, maybe that's a little bit of value. I don't know. Any thoughts there? I know you love your hometown Lions now.
Yeah, I like the Lions a lot in this game. Catching points in this spot, I think that the Lions are the play. You've seen this offense play a lot better the last couple of weeks. They obviously played against the crappy Jacksonville defense last weekend, but DeAndre Swift looked like a new man out there. And I think that if they continue to pound the rock with Swift, that it's just going to bring a whole other dimension to this Detroit Lions offense that the Atlanta Falcons won't be able to stop. And on the other side, I like the Detroit Lions secondary. They've improved the last couple of weeks as well, moving up the ranks in DVOA. So I think that they have the weapons who could stop the Falcons' passing game.
Interesting. Okay, we are definitely on odds on this one. It's an interesting take you've got there. Do you think their defense has been better? So they played the Jags, who stink. They were on bye the week before.
Yeah.
So the week before that, did they win? No, they got beat, right? I don't know. I don't trust the Lions. I don't. It's Atlanta. I didn't trust them either. Do you think they just got that one bump game where they played incredible? I mean, they played really good against Minnesota.
Yeah, I mean,
stink.
We talked about it last week. It could have been the motivational bump from the coach firing. They covered by 17 at Minnesota, but the rest of the year they are 1-4 against the spread. So
Oh yeah, of course, because they give up leads like nobody else. So, all right, well, none are jumping out of the page for me
okay,
right now.
let's move
Here
on.
we go. Carolina is going to New Orleans. New Orleans opened as a 7-point favorite, 51-point total, and Circa at 7.5 now with that same total. Again, Carolina let me down last week. I actually bet against did I bet against my Bears? Yes, I did.
Uh-oh.
Openly bet against the Bears there. That was the wrong call, and they played well. Not sure. I mean, the Saints, obviously, are coming off a bye. I guess my handicap this week would be that they're going to play better off this bye. So 7.5 is not a great number, especially in this particular spot, but that's why I think it's baked into the number. I think it should have been probably like a 5-point favorite at home, maybe 6. I think they're getting a little bit of push because they're coming off the bye, and obviously Carolina's loss. I don't know. I probably would only take the Saints side in this one, even though the Panthers have covered, 3 of the last 4 weeks.
7.5 points, though, is an
I know.
intriguing number
It
with
is.
the hook. Michael Thomas looks like he's going to be back off the
Hmm.
suspension and
Yep.
back out there, which gives a whole nother dynamic to the Saints offense. And the
Correct.
bye, definitely, you've got to figure that Sean Payton has the edge coming off the bye, going up against first-year coach Matt Rule. But Teddy Bridgewater is a covering machine. I don't know if you
Okay.
know this, Wegs.
Except for last
And
week when I bet on him.
in his career, 75% against the spread, 30-10. And following a straight up loss, he is 13-3 against the spread, 81%.
Hmm.
And further, as an underdog, 18-4,
Okay.
82%. So I think that the Carolina Panthers are a live dog in this game. I like them a lot, catching the 7.5 points. I do wish that it was a little bit higher. Certainly in today's NFL, 8 is preferable given the new 2-point conversion proficiency. If I were going to play this game, it would be on the Carolina side.
Hmm. Okay, we are differing. I mean, I definitely am thinking narratives too. I'm thinking, oh, they coach Bridgewater. They know his weaknesses.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. We'll see. I mean, maybe I'll get talked into it. It's definitely a good number. 7.5 is a great underdog number for sure.
Don't forget, Joe Brady just 2 years ago was an offensive special assistant for the Saints too. So
Oh,
there's some knowledge there as well.
great. Okay, so next game, Buffalo against the Jets. This is Buffalo opened as a 10.5-point favorite on the road at the Jets. 48 is the total at the opener. Now it's down to 45. 11.5-point favorites for the Circa contest. Obviously the Jets suck. I mean, that's the handicap, right? But aren't they going to win a game? I'm not saying they're going to beat Buffalo. They're going to win against somebody. This team's horrible. This is actually, I mean, Joe Flacco is garbage. We all know that. I think this is the get right game for Buffalo because they played some tougher opponents and now they actually get Joe Flacco. So they'll probably sack him like 17 times because he's a statue. It's a big number. It's definitely the largest, not just largest spread, but the largest difference in the index. It's just a big number.
What's the index difference telling you that the number should be?
Oh, it's probably about right at the what are the it's 11.5. I had it at
Mm-hmm.
10.5 when I first put this up. It probably should be, yeah, I'd say probably more like 10, but it's a huge number. The Jets stink.
Mm-hmm.
Are you back in the Jets here?
I think this is the spot to do it.
This man
Well,
loves his underdogs.
we could wait until next week. The look ahead is 21.5 against the
Oh,
Chiefs. So
wow. The Chiefs. Oh,
no, I don't recommend that. Honestly, there's 13s
no.
across the board in some books. So I think that line tells a little bit of a story that the operators chose 11.5 in this spot for the contest line. In week one, these two teams played against each other, and the Bills were 6.5-point home favorites.
Yep.
So if you flip, I think this number does look to be about right in terms of the home to home switch.
Hmm.
However, I just don't think that the Buffalo team is playing like an 11.5-point favorite right now. And
Sure.
that's really my angle here. Not
Hmm.
necessarily the Jets, but just fading the Buffalo ability to cover a number like this.
Right, right. No, I understand. It makes sense. It's just the Jets, they are the worst team like in the NFL. So it's, back in the worst team in the NFL. It's like last year. How many times did we chase the Dolphins early last year?
Yeah, that's true. You could probably blame me for that.
It's like, come on, it's 21 points. We could do it. Nope. It's 17 and a half. Nope. Yeah, it's horrible. All right,
All
let's look at
right.
the next one. Let's look at the next one. Green Bay is
Okay.
going to Houston. Green Bay opened as a 3.5 point favorite, 56 point total. In the contest, it is also that same 3.5 and up to 57. Okay, we probably will differ on this one. I'm going to put that out there already. I'm back on the pack. I don't think I should be, but I mean, Houston's defense stinks, and the pack played like garbage. So to me, they should be a bigger favorite. It's just obviously, I think there's a reaction here that obviously the pack played like crap, and Houston's been scoring points, but 3.5. I know there's the hook there. I know you like that hook for the underdog. So talk me into the Texans.
And it's at Houston.
Yeah,
Why don't you think you should be though? You said in the early
shouldn't
you
be
said
what?
on the pack.
Oh, I'm all over the pack.
Okay.
I'm asking you to talk me into the Texans because I'm not. I'm all over the pack here, but I'm probably
Yeah. Well,
overzealous.
you mentioned that the Houston has a crappy defense. Do you know
Mhm.
where the Green Bay defense ranks?
Oh, it's not good. It's not good. Let me put
30th.
my totals. 30th. Wow, that's awful.
30th. So I think that this game, I love the over.
Sure,
Saying that
sure.
right off the bat, I think it was 56, looking like some 57s right now on the board. But outside of that, I think that the loss of Bill O'Brien has taken the governor off of Deshaun Watson a little bit. He
Oh,
was 11th in DVOA rankings before Bill O'Brien was fired, and now
mhm,
he's second ranked in the last
okay.
2 weeks with Romeo Crennel calling the shots. So
Hmm.
I think that Houston is much better than their record indicates. One and
Okay.
five or 1-4, I think
One and
now,
five. Yeah. Hmm.
straight up. And I think that this line is way out of whack. The Packers should not be favored by 3.5 points on the road in this game.
What would you put it?
I think it should be closer to a pick 'em.
Pick 'em.
Yeah,
Talking about Houston, right?
yeah, the Houston Texans.
Wow. I mean, Houston 2 weeks ago, obviously under the aforementioned Bill O'Brien, were the worst team in the index. I mean, the worst team by even worse than the Jets. It's kind of hard to believe, but in this particular case, I've got them. Let's see, 24. They're like third worst. And we're talking about teams like the Jets, Jacksonville, just below them, right? And then you got Houston. So do you think it's just they're facing juggernaut offenses? I mean, obviously we know they faced the Ravens, we know they faced the Chiefs. Last week the Titans. These are high flying offenses at this point.
Mhm.
But don't you think the Pack, take away the performance from last week, don't you think the Pack are that same level of offense?
Yeah, I do. I think the Packers are playing well, but their offensive line couldn't protect Rodgers last.
Hmm.
And I also think that the Houston numbers look poor because of their strength of schedule. You forgot
Okay,
Pittsburgh in there too. So
sure.
four of these offenses that they face this season are in the top of the NFL.
Hmm.
And I don't think that Green Bay has faced an offense so far that stacks up with Deshaun Watson.
You
Um,
don't think
New,
you don't think
New
Tampa?
Orleans is on there, but
Tampa, yeah.
I wouldn't put Tampa in the same level as the Houston Texans offense right now.
Hmm.
So I do agree, though, when you look at last week's closing number, a pick 'em, and this week, I mean, when you kind of stack up Tampa Bay and Houston, you would probably figure they're 3.5 points better, the Buccaneers over the Texans on a
Yeah, I
neutral.
think I think at least I think you're valuing Houston a lot higher just because of strength of schedule. I mean they got housed in those games. I mean I don't know. Obviously it's Bill O'Brien, right? So they played great against the Jags, right? It's the Jags is their win.
Yep.
And then last week they did play better. Obviously they should have won the game probably. But that's a
Mhm.
division game, and it was just like Titans defense was no good either. So, well, maybe you're right. Maybe if it's a shootout type situation again, which could be the situation here, then maybe 3.5 is just what you need because you've got the hook. I mean, maybe you could talk me into it. I'll go contrary to my analysis again. Uh,
Okay, we can set it aside.
Yeah, well, it's all of them so far.
True.
All right, let's talk about the Sunday night game, even though it's in this rotation now. It's got moved to the Sunday night. Seattle is going to Arizona. Seattle is a 2.5 point favorite on the road, 55 point total. In circuits, 3.5 now, 56 point total. You know, this is the problem. You're not supposed to go against Russell Wilson and the number. These guys keep covering, right, every week. In my statistics, the Cardinals are the pick. They're at
Mhm.
home 3.5. You should take the points, and see if Russell Wilson can beat it. It's just hard for me to do that, of course, but statistically, it's the Cardinals here.
Yeah, I agree. I don't love the move into prime time now. When I
Right,
saw that today, I cringed a little bit because I like Arizona a lot, but it certainly puts a lot more pressure on the big Sunday night stage for Kyler Murray and
right.
um, Kingsbury. It's their first opportunity to play in that stage and against Russell Wilson.
Hmm.
But the Arizona team has edges in all defensive statistical categories. I think
Oh
you
yeah.
probably have that on your
Seattle,
screen.
Seattle's they're a terrible defense. We
Yeah.
were talking about the pack. Seattle's horrible.
Mhm. Yeah, 6.2 yards per play they're giving up on defense, and Arizona is a lot better. They have a positive, almost 1 yard per play better than their opponents this season, the Arizona Cardinals. So um, I think that I like Arizona in this game, especially at 3.5.
All right, we agreed on one. Congratulations, Action. We did it.
Okay.
Only took us 10 games. How about this next one? The 49ers are going to New England. This is going to be a late start, even though it's in New England. That's interesting. So it's a kind of a premium game. 5 point favorite opener for New England, 45.5 point total. This is down to 1.5 in the contest, 43.5 point total. Probably makes sense on the total.
Mhm.
Obviously, San Francisco, we did talk about, they bounced back. They played great against the Rams. Jimmy G looked better. They had a different approach to the game. They played harder. They also were getting the ball out in space to get Debo Samuel the ball, and it was just kind of dominating. Jared Goff regressed to what I know he is. He's crap. Um, so 1.5, man, this is tough. New England off a loss. We've talked about this, but the problem is they lost before the bye, didn't they?
Mhm.
And they were
Yeah.
like basically unbeatable against the spread after a loss, but they end up losing last week outright when they were the favorite. You got to take New England, right, with 1.5, but damn, they played like shit last week. I don't know what to say.
Yeah, this one really kind of confounds me too because the number is just odd. I mean,
Yep,
the look ahead was like 6, and I'm
yep,
not really sure that the Niners play and the Patriots play combined for a move like that.
I know.
So it kind of gives me some pause a little bit. I mean,
Right.
I want to lean to the New England Patriots here in this game, but I'm just not sure that I would be happier to pass this one.
Yeah, Cam looked like garbage, in his return, and I mean, Denver won, and it was kind of interesting that game. They didn't play very well, but they got the
Mhm.
defensive score. That was a key in the game. Oh no, they didn't get a defensive score. They had 6 field goals, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, 6 field goals, but they had a lot of turnovers from New England, and it was just a weird game. Okay, well, let's pass. Let's talk about Kansas City and Denver, the aforementioned Denver. Kansas City's going to Denver in Mile High. They were a 10 point opening favorite, 49.5 point total, which seems a little low. Now it's 9.5 with only a 46 point total. So obviously that's probably more on the backs of Denver's bad offense. 9.5 seems like a decent number with the Chiefs. I'm not sure. They are on the road. They didn't play great in a couple weeks ago against the Raiders, but can Drew Lock beat them deep with Jerry Jeudy? Maybe, but certainly the Chiefs played a lot better against Buffalo.
Yeah, I agree. I think that you have to look to one way in this game with the Chiefs. The only thing that gives me pause is the weather. I think it's
Mm,
supposed to snow this weekend in Denver. And if you remember last year, I think it was in Kansas City when they first met up with Drew Lock under center and the Chiefs torched them. They
right,
won by like 3 or 4 touchdowns going away. And you have to feel like that the Chiefs have advantages on both sides of the ball given their formidable secondary matching
right.
up against the Denver passing attack. And on the other side, with the Chiefs' newfound running attack, I
Hmm.
got to feel like that they're going to look to run the ball again. LaShawn McCoy is probably going to be out there this week. and we'll see how they split the carries with him and Edwards-Helaire. But
You mean
I could,
Le'Veon Bell, right?
yeah, sorry, Le'Veon Bell,
Right.
right? Um, I I could go with Kansas City in this one. I'm not sure
Mhm.
I like Denver, that's for sure.
Yeah, I don't like Denver in this spot. I think that if the number was bigger over 10, maybe, but I think the Chiefs figured out what they could do. They can run and they can throw, so let's just do it.
Mhm.
And I think they kind of got caught a little flat-footed against the Raiders. They were thinking that they could beat them easily too, and now they stepped up. I don't think they're going to make that same mistake in the division again. So,
Yeah,
all
and
right,
after the loss to the Raiders, this one is probably a little bit bigger in their minds in terms of getting back on track inside the division.
no question. All right, so this is the game that we're not sure is going to happen. It got moved to a 4 o'clock start, and we'll see if that actually happens. They moved it there because they think it might get canceled, huh?
Yeah.
Tampa is going to the Vegas. Tampa opened up as 2.5 point favorites on the road, 53.5 point total. This is up to 3.5 in the contest and a 52 point total, a little bit down. I didn't really have a great feeling about this one. I think the Raiders obviously played extremely well the last time we saw them. So that's in our mind. They did cover, a number early in the season when they were the dog at home against the Saints. Uh, Tampa's defense is really good. I think we talked about
Mhm.
that. I don't love that running attack against that, Tampa line, and that's kind of what the backbone of this offense is, even though Carr, hit deep against the Chiefs. So I probably would stick to the favorite here, even though it's against what our normal narrative is for the week of picking underdogs, at least for you. Not certain your thoughts.
Yeah, I think so too. I initially was in my head lining up to look at the Oakland side in this game,
Mhm.
but with the offensive line injuries now or COVID sickness with Trent Brown, I think that certainly brings into question how they're going to be able to protect Derek Carr against the Tampa Bay defense, and
Right.
certainly with the possibility of more linemen being out too, would be a huge concern. So, and I mean, you also have to upgrade Tampa Bay. That's probably a simple thing to say, but when you look back at the Oakland spreads at home, they were a 3 point underdog to Buffalo and then
Hmm.
4 point underdogs to New Orleans. Obviously, splitting those games against the spread. And I got to feel like that Tampa is, in my mind, better than both of those teams right now. So
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
by those comparisons, you're getting some value here looking at the Bucks.
Yeah. I mean, we obviously they had the stinker against the Bears, but you realize the Bears defense. There's my ambulance. The Bears are pretty good, on defense, and when they play against defenses that aren't so good, I don't think Oakland's very good. They can shred them, and that's what we've seen.
Yeah.
So I think I agree with you there. But it looks like this game probably won't happen, so we'll find out. I mean, we'll see where we sit come Saturday, I guess.
Hmm.
The next one is a really great matchup. Pretty excited. I guess it's in the rotation here, but it's a 1 o'clock start, huh? So it's the Steelers are going to Tennessee. This is the battle of unbeatens in the AFC. Tennessee opened as a 1 point favorite at home, 52.5 point total. In the contest, it's 1.5 point favorites and a 50.5 point total. I'm all over the Steelers here, baby. I've got my Steelers jersey. It's on order. I love King Henry, but that defense is legit, and I just kind of feel like the Titans have been a little bit living on the edge. I mean, they're definitely a high flying offense with, the way Henry's running and Tannehill's played pretty well, but I don't know. I kind of like the Steelers in this spot. I think the line is probably accurate. Like obviously it's almost showing that on a neutral Tampa, or I mean Pittsburgh would be better, but I don't know. I like the Steelers here. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. It was some kooky moves in this game this
Hmm.
week. The Steelers opened as a favorite
They did.
and like a small favorite, half a point or a point maybe, and then it moved up a little bit and to 1.5. And then was it yesterday morning or this morning? I woke up and all of a sudden Tennessee was favored. So I'm not really sure what's going on there. It seems like there's some battling going on between two sharp groups, is my
Okay.
guess, between some of them grabbing Tennessee and others like Pittsburgh. I caught a 1.5 and teased it up to 7.5 with Pittsburgh. I definitely like that side
Hmm.
going up through the touchdown. But the Devin Bush injury is not ideal for facing Derrick Henry.
True.
That's the one concern I have about this game. On the other side, I think that the Pittsburgh offense should be able to shred Tennessee's defense. They are not
Absolutely.
playing well right now.
Right.
So I do think that on paper, Pittsburgh is the better team. And I think your numbers probably would indicate that as well, right?
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, they're pretty close. I mean, actually, when you look at the
Really?
numbers, they're fairly close. The Titans now, their defense isn't very good, right? So
Mhm.
the Steelers are actually right at the top of the index, with I guess it was Chiefs. Yeah, they're really at the top of the index right now. Whereas you got the Titans, they're still pretty good. I mean, they're in the top six. It's like the
Okay.
Chiefs, the Titans, the Steelers. Actually, the Cardinals are pretty high, and the Bucks. Those are the top teams right now. The Colts are just off of that too. I guess the Ravens as well. So those are kind of like the top eight teams. The Titans are right there. I mean, their offensive numbers are carrying them. Plus, if I'm not mistaken, let me double check. The Titans, and they're +6. Yeah, they're at the top of the charts in turnover differential, which is really a big determinant of winning games. And they're
Yep.
there. They're number one. So they're tied with the Ravens in turnover differential. So I don't know if the Steelers are
Yeah.
going to turn the ball over as much as say other teams the Titans have faced.
Yeah. I mean, Taylor Lewan is out for the Titans offensive line. You got to figure Pittsburgh is going to be able to put some pressure on Tannehill.
And but
But
Dupree's, yep,
I did also hear that Corey Davis might return this week. So another option for that passing game. So it's going to be a fantastic game. I can't wait to watch it.
yeah, awesome game. Okay, well, let's talk about the next game. This is Jacksonville. Lowly Jacksonville is regressing to their mean, going to the Chargers. 7.5 point favorite opener for the Chargers, 48 being the total. This is actually almost right on the number. It's 7.5 still in Circa, 49 being the total. Originally, when this came out, I was definitely on the Chargers here. I just don't love the hook. God, I hate the hook. Um, and I think Herbert's going to get his first win in this game. I just don't know if they're actually going to cover this number, unfortunately. But I can't back Jacksonville either.
I like Jacksonville.
Of course you do.
Hold,
And look at
hold in my notes.
he's got his Minshew Mania hat on. He's got his little headband on. I think I saw the headband on that shelf.
Man, the Chargers just can't cover as
No,
favorites. That's
no.
what this comes down to.
They
I
can't. They
realize
can't win games. Yeah, sure.
it's a new quarterback, but it's the same Anthony Lynn.
It's true.
That's my handicap here. I certainly think that we could probably find some better picks for the contest, but if it comes down to it, I would not hesitate to throw Jacksonville in, catching 7.5.
When's the last time Jacksonville covered a number? Was it week 2?
It was, yeah. we September 20th against Tennessee. They're 0-4 in their last 4 weeks against the spread. So
Yeah, I think they're starting to play what we expected them to be. They're not going to be the worst because the Jets are the worst, but they're next. So we'll see. I obviously can't take the Jags. All right, well, let's talk
okay.
about the last game, the Monday night game. This is my Bears going to the Rams. They've done this before a couple years ago. The Rams are a 7.5 point favorite on the opener, 47-point total, and the contest is down to 6, which is a nice number, and 45-point total. Very interesting spot here, action. One of these very curious games. The Rams are better in the index, which isn't a surprise, but they kind of sucked last week. Bears defense can be really good, and in the past, it's not the same situation as 2 years ago, but I still remember when the Bears got to Jared Goff a couple of years ago. I think it was a Sunday night game, and he was garbage and just terrible. Could not get out of his own way. I do think that McVay is more committed to the run these days, so that helps them out. But man, I really liked it when it was 7.5. 6 points is definitely making a statement. So I don't know. I guess I'd back my Bears in this spot, which is tough to say.
What's the local number at Bet Rivers in Illinois?
Let me check. All right, Rivers, what do you got here, buddy? All right, Rivers. These numbers actually aren't as different as I thought. It's 6. It's the same.
Okay.
45
Yeah,
points.
they're probably just copying everyone else's homework. I think that's pretty much industry standard nowadays.
I
Anyway,
think that's
I
right.
agree though. I like the Bears too.
Right.
I think that this defense has got something to show for the LA Rams and Jared Goff, and We've talked about this a number of times. Whenever you can get pressure on Goff, he becomes a completely different quarterback.
Yep.
And they've shown the past 2 seasons that they can get pressure on him and hold the Rams down for scoring. And both of these last 2 meetings were under 25 points. It was 15-6, 2018, and 17-7 last year for the Rams. So
Right.
I like the under quite a bit. I've already taken the first half under at 21.5. And I think because of that, you get some pretty serious value with catching 6 points in the underdog.
Yeah, I agree. I think we talked about that before on other podcasts for people that get this far in the show. I mean, if you have a total that's fairly low, but you see kind of a higher point spread, you got to take the dog because they're not going to score as many points. Right? So it's logic. I like that angle there, Action. So, well, let's just recap. We'll go into the Circa picks here. We didn't have a great week, America. Sorry, we're failing you all. When we do the pool party next year, we were hoping that we'd, throw some cash around with a cash gun. I know that he's got one on back order. We were 2-3 last week. So after the 6 weeks, we're 17-3. Still 57%, still pretty solid, but dropping to 773rd place on the season and 147th in the Q2. So not too good in Q2. That's about halfway down. We've talked already about the pack. You're against me in that one. The Cardinals were on the same side, so that's good. That's the plus 3.5, or is it 3.5 in the contest?
Correct.
Steelers were, well, were you going to come on board with the Steelers, or you?
Yeah. Oh,
Okay.
yeah. I like the Steelers as well.
Okay.
Maybe I didn't make that clear, but I think that's a good pick.
Yeah, Steelers at 1.5 on the road. They're actually, I've got them at the favorite there. I was okay if they were a favorite, so this is actually getting 1.5. We disagree on the Falcons and Lions, so we're probably going to stay away from that. But we are on the Chiefs at 9.5 in the contest, so that's actually a good number for us. And on Chicago, I think you added that one, Chicago plus 6. And then we didn't really talk about these other ones in detail, but we had another one. Didn't we have another one we liked?
We highlighted Tampa Bay as well.
Right.
But I have to keep an eye on that one. I think, I don't know if we were really on the same side in the other games. Possibly Cleveland.
Yeah, possibly Cleveland.
You could warm up to that, possibly.
Yeah, 3.5 is a pretty low number. And then you like Carolina, just to recap, Action does like Carolina at 7.5 on the road because Teddy covers numbers, apparently. He's got a bookie.
He does.
But I'm on the opposite side with the Falcons, 2.5 point favorites at home against Detroit. And then the pack, 3.5, but we'll see.
Jaguars.
Oh, God, please don't. The Jags. I mean, I get it, man. Minshew mania. He's going to have one game, but I don't know. The thing about the Chargers, we didn't talk about this. They have a lot of injuries. There's no question, and they were really injured at the end of that Saints game. I don't know. Who knows? Anthony Lynn. God, he's terrible. I mean, that team's got talent. Come on, plug me in, coach. I'll take over. Come on. Anyway, well, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Well, that essentially wraps us up for this week. I mean, obviously, we had a lot of things going on. I mean, you've taken care of the rats. I've taken care of work stuff. My car's somewhere on the road somewhere. I don't know what's happening. It's getting dark outside at like 4 o'clock. I mean,
I know.
Life's changing pretty fast over here, Action.
Winter will be here before we know it.
I know.
No doubt.
I know. Well, definitely follow us both on the podcast. Obviously you can do that on where you can get podcasts. Please follow us or like us on the YouTube. We need to pump that up a little bit. Side Action Pod on Twitter. Follow me at Wegs on Twitter and Instagram.
Follow me on Twitter at 31sroberts.
Well, let's get back on the right side this week, Action, and make this happen. America, we're not going to fail you this time. I promise you.
Yeah, through 6 weeks, I think that was our first sub 500 week. So
I know.
We can get back on the positive side and get this thing back on the tracks.
Let's do it. Let's do it, Action. I'm all for it.
All right.
Take care, everybody.
Later.